What a terrible loss for the Utah Jazz, getting absolutely destroyed by the Portland Trailblazers, fifth in the lottery. Let's talk about it. It's the Hoopsner Show. All right, guys, before we get into this, let's just give a shout out to Prize Picks, our sponsor. Prize Picks, go there right now. Use promo code HoopsNerd. They will match up to $100. Go put the under on any Jazz scorer, literally, or put the over on turnovers for literally everyone, especially JC. After a night like tonight, you're going to make some money, but they will match up to $100. It supports the channel. I would really appreciate it. All right, let's get into this. This Jazz loss, and when this show might not be quite as long tonight, we've got Thanksgiving tomorrow. I don't know how many people are going to watch this. Maybe you're watching this over a plate of turkey. I don't know. But let's get into this. So the Utah Jazz get just destroyed by the Portland Trailblazers, and there will be some, and there's some truth to it. It's a back end of a back-to-back, and they had to travel. But guess what? The Portland Trailblazers were also on the back end of a back-to-back, so I don't know if that is that much of an argument. Plus, the Jazz got blown out by the Lakers just yesterday and didn't have to play their players half the game. So I don't know if being tired is really an excuse that I would give this Jazz team after tonight. Just some really tough stuff. Let's just go a little bit about the game. They start Kelly Olynyk, which it looks like, and I actually missed like the first part of this game because I was coaching my boys' team. And because Jazz Plus does not give us full game replays or DVR yet, I could not go back quickly. So anyways, they changed the starting lineup. Kelly Olynyk goes in. Ochai Agbaji was out. And they start with Keontae George, Clarkson, Collins, Markkanen, and Olynyk. I did not see the first part of the game, but we were down by 20 at halftime, and I did see definitely the second half. And it was really bad. There were some things you've got to take away from this. One, I mean, Ochai Agbaji helps with your defense. He was 4 for 4 from the field and 1 for 1 from 3, so that's pretty decent. But there's some limitations there with Ochai Agbaji. But I've got to say, let's just get into it. This Jazz team is not very good. If you go to tankathon.com right now, you will see that the Jazz are sitting now at they're at number 5. And they are just 2 games back of the worst record in the NBA. They are just a half game back of Memphis for 4th, 1 game back of San Antonio for 3rd, and so on. So this Jazz team is not very good. Oh, thank you, Alexander Tufts. Built for Tough. I like this hat. This is the one I got for free. I won it, and Ryan Smith, I sent him a DM, and he sent me a hat. So thank you, Ryan. But anyways, this was just a bad loss for the Jazz. Plain and simple. The last one against the Lakers was bad as well. And this Jazz team might just be bad. But there are some problems. And actually, in the SLC Dunk chat, someone brought up something that Will Hardy said like 3 months ago. In fact, I'm going to bring this up. I'm not going to show it because I'm keeping my things secret here. But just a quote, and this was October 10th, 2023. And it looks like maybe it was on the radio or something like that. But Will Hardy says, who's your favorite player on this Jazz team? And Tony Finau was talking to him. And he says, JC and Sexton. And it's a joke. Will Hardy makes a joke, but there might be a little bit of truth to this joke where he says, the 2 guys on the team that don't listen to me the most. Now, you look at that joke and you go back after a night like tonight, and that joke is a little different. You read that a little differently after the start of the season. Why? Because of the absolute selfishness of Jordan Clarkson and Colin Sexton. It's been terrible all year long, and it's time that they start, and Will Hardy has made quote after quote after quote tonight. Let's just read some of them just to see what he's said. But we saw him bench players tonight we saw Yurtsvin come in. We saw some of the deeper players on the bench. Will Hardy says, and this is from Ryan Miller at KSL, we are either going to dig in and have the ability to learn, or we're going to have to make some real changes with who's playing in the games. Guys, I tell you what, to be honest, I was looking at when players can be traded because guess what? Jordan Clarkson just just got a new contract, and I was looking up the rules. You cannot trade a player who just re-signs with you until 6 months after the date. Well, guess what? Bad news bears for anyone who wants to trade Jordan Clarkson. He signed that on July 2nd. 6 months from then is January, which actually fits in with the trade deadline, which you can see why the NBA does its trade deadline. Trade deadline this year is February 10th. So, if you're someone like me who believes that definitely trades are in order, absolutely, we can argue about what the direction should be. Should it be to win now with those trades or not? Although by February 10th, I don't know how much winning you're going to be worried about doing if they keep losing like they are now. But you can't trade them. So there's some issues. And so that's why Will Hardy's saying, you know what, we're going to just start. And he might be telling the front office that too. Because honestly, and let's just get into it. Well, yeah, I don't know. I wanted to talk Will Hardy and Jordan Clarkson. Let's just talk about it both. Jordan Clarkson's been bad this year. He's had like 3 good games. And he had a game winner against, I think it was the Clippers. Outside of that, he's been really bad. And we've looked at it before. Let's just look at it again. I don't know if this is updated with tonight's numbers, but he is shooting for this season 32% from 3. It's just not good. It's really bad. And when you consider he's taking 5.5 a game, that is not going to cut it. 32% is well below league average. He's shooting 42% from the field. That is below league average. I don't know what league average is, but it's not 42%. And he's taking 16 shots a game at 42%. And he's getting 31 minutes a game. You can bet those minutes are going to go down. I know he's Ryan Smith's favorite player. Shout out Ryan Smith. Thanks for the hat. But I think JC is going to be playing less. And honestly, he should be. Because this Jazz team has done everything to give him opportunity to really shine. And he has not. And we know he's not a good defensive player, but when he's playing like this offensively and turning the ball over 7 times, look at that. 7 turnovers. The Jazz had 21. He accounted for 33% of the entire team's turnovers. No one had more than 3. And he has 7. It's time to make a change. And you can't trade him until February 10th, but you can bet he's likely going to be on that trade deadline. Doesn't mean Jordan Clarkson's not a good player, but he is definitely out of his depth as this, combo guard or whatever he's playing at the 2 spot, because he's just not a playmaker for other guys. He's not making other players better. That's a 5 to 7 assist to turnover ratio. By the way, our rookie point guard in what was kind of a terrible loss, 7 assists, 2 to 0 turnovers. Right? I mean, honestly, pretty bonkers. 0 turnovers, 7 assists. He missed some of those close shots, but he shot 3 for 6 from 3. So if that's a bright sign, you got to see that. And look at that, 7 for 7 from the free throw line. So Keontae George tonight, by the way, my love for Keontae George continues to grow, as you all know. But 16 points on 9 shots. And why? Because he went to the free throw line 4 times, gets 7, or maybe I didn't know, but he took 7 free throws. That's awesome. That is what we talked about in Summer League. This right here is big time, actually, guys. This actually gets me excited. This gets me excited, gets me titillated, gets me absolutely exacerbated, Twitter-pated, whatever words. That's what this is doing to me. 7 for 7, 7 free throws. That right there is the Kawhi Leonard number. When I did a thing, I was looking at every star player and how many free throws they average. 7's like the lucky number, to be honest. If you're doing 7 free throws a game, you are in like Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, not to the point where James Harden was. That was bonkers, and that's just bad officiating. But 7 free throws a game is like the benchmark, and so him doing this is exciting. Because what it does is it makes you an efficient player. Look, the Jazz got absolutely destroyed. Keontae George a -1 in this game. But anyways, Jordan Clarkson's got to go. To be honest, I mean, I'm kind of out. I love Jordan Clarkson as a person. He's had lots of fun moments on this team, but it's just not ending well. And to be honest, there were a lot of times where it might have been a little overrated, because you look at these by year, 32, 33, 31, 34. I mean, the best one is what, 34%? And that's not league average. And when you're shooting on volume like he does, It's hard to win games, especially when you consider he's not a good defender. That's the other thing. I have people like that I see on Twitter talking about defense and Will Hardy. Of the players who started on this Jazz team, Kelly Olynyk, Lauri Markkanen, John Collins, Jordan Clarkson, Keontae George, who would you consider a plus defender? Like, I would argue that Ochai Agbaji was like the only, plus defender on the Jazz before they rested him tonight. And maybe they're just trying because they're playing the Blazers and don't have an elite, player right now. I mean, Scoot Henderson came back tonight, but he was off the bench and he's working his way back into the starting lineup. And he's started off really cold, by the way. And so I don't know. I mean, you can do schemes all you want, and we've seen Will Hardy try different schemes. He's tried to make up for the poor defenders on this team by doing things like a zone. It didn't work, so he's kind of gone back to some of these other things. At a certain point, these players need to play it. And by the way, and this is something I wanted to write about. I'll probably write about it on the SLC Dunk just to get a long form out there. How many teams has Kelly Olynyk been on? John Collins had how many coaches in Atlanta? Now he's on what? 5th coach? 6th coach? Lauri Markkanen's had 3 or 4 coaches. Jordan Clarkson, how many coaches he had? He has Quinn Snyder, multiple coaches in Cleveland, LA. Keontae George is a rookie, so he's not in this conversation, but these guys all have had multiple head coaches. And, Kelly Olynyk is a veteran. John Collins is a veteran now. He is not a young player. He is a veteran. I mean, he's right in kind of his prime area. These guys understand defensive schemes. They understand what they're supposed to do. I mean, you could argue someone like Keontae George, if he's making mistakes, well, that's understandable because he's a rookie. He's coming from one college coach where he played 1 year. Before that, he's playing AAU, and he goes to like that specialized high school where it's focused on basketball. But he's like 20 years old, So I'm not going to rag on Keontae George too much for his defensive liabilities because he's learning. He's a rookie. But Kelly Olynyk understands NBA defenses, and NBA defenses and offenses are super complicated and very, very, they're difficult to get. But after multiple years in the league, these guys kind of know what's going on, especially when you consider they've all played everyone else. They've all gone through scouting reports of literally every team in the league multiple times. They know what coaches do. They know what teams do. Teams do change based off of game to game, but overall, these guys know what to do. Like, half of the time you're defending pick and rolls. And if your coach is telling you to do a certain pick and roll thing, defend a pick and roll, whether you're dropping, hedging, whatever, you know how to do that. They know how to do it. Right? But the problem with this team is they don't really have an elite defender at all. When you look at someone like Boston, who has like the number one, in fact, let's look at it. Let's look at the top defenses in the league. By the way, the Jazz offense dropped to 20. Not great. And the Jazz defense is at 27. But look at this. We have multiple high-level defenses on here. And one thing I would argue is that because they know their schemes really well, Houston actually is really... Guess what? That's kind of crazy. I didn't realize Houston was this good. Ime Udoka might win Coach of the Year. That's crazy. But guess what? They brought in veterans to that team. They bring in the guard from Portland. Toronto. I forgot his name. And they bring in what's his name from Memphis? Man, it's late. I can't remember anyone's name. The guy who everyone hates. But they're good players that know how to defend, And they have defenders in well, can we just go to their roster? Because my gosh, I can't friggin' remember any of the players. Okay, so you've got let's see. You've got Fred VanVleet. He's a high-level defender from Toronto, knows what he's doing. You've got Dylan Brooks, who is a positive high-level defender from Memphis. He knows what he's doing defensively. He's as annoying as could be, and I do not like him. But he is a positive defender. Jabari Smith was drafted, and everyone knew that he would be a plus high-level defender. You've got guys that can actually defend, and you've got guys that they care. Right now, there's not a lot of guys on this Jazz team that care, and a lot of them need to be traded, just to be honest. Amen Thompson doesn't even play, and he is an elite defensive prospect. Elite. I need to watch more of the Rockets because they're just they're the story of the season, to be honest. But anyways, let's look at these top 3 defenses. Minnesota Timberwolves. Rudy Gobert, positive defender, I would say so. You've got Jaden McDaniels, who might be first-team All-NBA defense. He is incredible. Absolutely monstrous. You know, Mike Conley's probably the biggest liability on that team defensively, and Mike Conley is a smart defender. He knows where to stand. He knows what to do. He knows how to play a team defense. And then you've got Anthony Edwards, who has like the body of Michael Jordan, has insane athleticism. He can absolutely lock you down if he wants to. That's what kind of physical specimen Anthony Edwards is why, you know, you go after those top picks. You pick the insane athlete and then you hope they develop the game, because if they've got the competitiveness like he does and the physical gifts from God that he has, that is what turns you into an elite defender, because 1, you know what you're doing, and 2, you have the physical capability to do it. And he is just a monster. And so should we be surprised? Like, is anyone on this Jazz team even close? And by the way, the Jazz don't even have Walker Kessler, who you would compare to Rudy Gobert. But do the Jazz have anyone like that who is like first team? I mean, those are 3 guys that are first team all defense caliber guys. 3. Point of attack, rim. You know, you're playing Karl Anthony Towns, who's not a good defender, but he's big. You know, so their team rebounding is going to be good. I mean, when you have Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns rebounding the ball, are you kidding? That means you're not giving up offensive rebounds, which help NBA defenses. One of the things the Jazz are trying to do right now is offensive rebound the ball. But when you're going against a team like the Timberwolves with that kind of rebounding, are you kidding? It's tough. They end possessions. A good defensive possession ends with a rebound. If they get an offensive rebound, it was not a complete defensive possession. You have to get the defensive rebound. And that's what they do. They are elite defensively. Boston Celtics. They go and get Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday and Derek White might be the best defensive backcourt in the NBA. They are out of this world defense. And then you put on top of that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And then at the rim, you've got Kristaps Porzingis, who always rates high as a rim protector. Are you kidding me? That's crazy. That is just such a beast to have to play against that team and try to score consistently. I mean, that's crazy good. Honestly, is anyone on this Jazz team that's currently playing even near that level? No. I mean, tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. But no, they're not close. It's not close. Orlando Magic, they just got Isaac back. Let's go back. Let's look at their roster. I mean, they are filled with high. Jonathan Isaac is a first team defense player. He's coming off the bench. You have Jalen Suggs, who might be the best on-ball defender and plays his absolute, honestly, might be the best. He is that good. You've got Paolo Banchero. You've got Franz Wagner. Remember when he was in the draft, they said that he was going to be a plus defender, and boy, has he become that. Paolo Banchero, first overall pick, level talent, physicality. They are awesome. This is actually a pretty big surprise to me. It's why I mentioned them as like a team that could come to the Jazz for some trades. But tell you what, you look at this roster, and can any of them play the level of defense that they are on those teams? I don't know. And you could argue, well, it's coaching. Well, is it? Because if they're not able to do it or not willing, it's funny. At my day job, I'm a manager at my day job. We went through this training, and actually you can use it for NBA players. Honestly, it's called the willing and able thing with employees. Are they willing and are they able? It's an interesting concept. Like someone who is not able to do a job, but is willing, you can work with them, but at a certain point, if they're not able to, you may have to move on from them at some point, because if they're just not able to do the job, if they're willing, but they're not able, the idea is that you can maybe work with them and move them into other categories that they might be able to do, you know? It's like, so I work in a marketing department, you know, if someone's like not a very good designer and they're just not able to do it and you hire them as a designer and you realize, but they're willing to try to be better and be good, maybe you can train them into other things and they can do that, you know? And you can kind of look at NBA players like that a little bit. You know, if someone's not a very good shooter, but they're an elite defender, well, maybe we can play you off the bench at times, and maybe you can slowly develop that ability to shoot the ball. But at a certain point, if you can't shoot the ball, if you're just not able, then you may have to trade them or move them, or you just cut them and bring in new players, right? If someone is able but not willing, that's a problem. You've got to talk to them. You've got to figure out what is wrong and how can we figure this out so you are willing to do these things. But if they are not willing, that's a problem. And this is obviously what you want from someone is willing and able. And there's a few guys on this team that are close to that. You know, the level of able is kind of what you look at in terms of like how good of a defender can they be and all this types of things. The guys that you just have to get rid of is if they're not willing and not able. And I tell you what, there is a lot of guys on this team that are not willing and not able right now. And one of those is Jordan Clarkson. Right? Do you like when you saw the body language tonight? He's not even coming back half court on a transition defense. He's not even trying. And I get it. You're probably tired, but you know what? Can we grow up and be men? You're not like the Portland Trailblazers were tired too. All right. And you just get like a $15 million a year contract. That's 15 million reasons why you can get back on defense. Okay. Otherwise, you're going to guess what? You're going to be, get ready to learn Cleveland again. Might be wanting to get a riverboat on the Great Huron Lake or whatever it is out there. Lake Michigan, baby. Enjoy that in the winter, because if you're not willing and you're certainly not able on the defensive end, that's a problem. And the thing we learned in that training is when they're not willing, they're not able, you got to move on. You've got to move on. You can work with someone who's willing, not able. You can work with someone who's able but not willing. And depending on how the interaction goes and how they kind of turn things around, you can turn them into someone who's willing and able. But when someone's not willing and not able, it's time to go. Because you don't have time to waste on people. You have to go to other things. And Jordan Clarkson is one of those. And the other one is Colin Sexton. Not really able to be a high-level defender. Not really able to, how many turnovers did he have tonight? I mean, maybe 0. I don't know. 2. He played for 11 minutes. So he's on pace for 6. If he plays 32, he's on pace for what? 6 turnovers? And then you consider the defense. He goes 0 for 5, 0 for 3 from 3. Just terrible. Absolutely putrid play. Just really bad. And we know that, it's not changing. He's not adjusting how he plays. And at a certain point as a coach, if they're like, what, do you just yell at them again and yell at them again and yell at them again for them to just keep doing the same things over and over? At a certain point, it's just, it's not willing, not able, time to go. And Will already had that quote before the game, we need to pass the ball and we need to play hard. Well, 2 assists. I mean, I guess he got 2 assists, so there you go. But I just don't know if I don't know. I don't know, guys. I don't know. And I actually don't want to rag on Colin Sexton too much, because I felt like on a night where you have guys like Jordan Clarkson acting like so just bad body language, I at least enjoy his demeanor and is willing to go 100 miles an hour. It's just really disappointing. It's really frustrating. Car Wash Channel 199, thank you. Like I said, Jazz are tanking, and this is a bad loss. Yes, this is definitely a bad loss, and they might be, whether they want to or not. They're not losing on purpose. They're playing their best players. That's the other thing, too. Like with the Will Hardy stuff, I mean, everyone's entitled to your opinion, but if you're benching Jordan Clarkson, which I think they should, honestly, you've got to play someone else. But then the question is who? Well, I personally think it should be Ochai Agbaji, because I do think he plays hard. One thing that gets me frustrated with Ochai is just a little bit of timidness. He's got to at some point, you've got to be confident, man. You've just got to go. You've just got to believe that you belong and go. This timidness has got to go. And I think that might be a little bit of bad vibes from guys like Jordan Clarkson and stuff. It's been a weird Jordan Clarkson year. His body language has been not good. It's been bad. And it's just not helping other players develop. And by the way, as someone who has been just over the moon with what we've seen from Keyonte George has been bending over backwards to defer to Jordan Clarkson to give him every shot. I mean, Jordan Clarkson typically leads this team in shots. It's like a lot. And when he's on fire, it's great. But when he's not, it's not. And it's been a lot of games where it's not been, and he's still shooting the ball over and over and over. And so it's just not good. And Ochai Agbaji, he needs to probably be in place of Jordan Clarkson, and he needs to just stop being timid. Just go, man. It doesn't matter. If you play timid, then things are going to go wrong. If you be confident, you make a mistake, well, that's fine. But you've got to, Will Hardy didn't say not turn the ball over. He said, play hard, pass the ball. That's all you got to do. I don't have any qualms with Lauri Markkanen, and I think he plays really well. I do think that he needs to be getting a little bit more. I mean, this is now in 7 games, 1 assist. He did have 1 kick out that I think Jordan Clarkson missed, ironically. But 0 to assists to 2 turnovers. I mean, I don't know. That's one thing. There is an issue there with Lauri Markkanen where he's kind of Klay Thompson, which is great. Klay Thompson's probably a Hall of Fame player, and Lauri Markkanen is right there with his elite shooting, although he's been in a mini slump from 3. 1 for 6 tonight. He is, in his last 3 games, I'm not going to look it up right now, but it's been not good. But he'll get out of it. We know he's a good shooter, but he is not a playmaker. And so when you talk about trying to get him the ball and getting him more shots and all these things, I agree. You want the guy that shoots at such a high level getting more shots, but the fact that he's not a playmaker, he doesn't have the best handle. He is very much dependent on his point guards and everyone else getting the ball, Kelly Olynyk, and that puts a ceiling on a player. It just does. Doesn't mean he's not. Of all the players on this team, I could see Lauri Markkanen starting on a championship team. I could, because he's that good of a shooter. He's got size. He does try hard on defense. I think he's an average defender, but when you're an average defender and you're 7 feet tall, it's pretty good, because you get shots blocked and things like that. Look at that. Three steals. So maybe Markkanen is kind of becoming a positive defender. I don't know. But Car Wash Channel 199, thank you so much, my friend. The Jazz need to trade JC and make trades. Yes, they do. Agreed. 100%. It's time to make some moves. But the only problem is, like we said before, you can't trade Jordan Clarkson until January. So, that's really tough. But anyways, Markkanen, the only thing is, and I think he's great, and I think they're going to try to keep him, and I actually think he'll stay, and the Jazz will be bad whether he's on the team or not, I guess. And part of that is because you can't just run the offense through him. He has to play off of your playmakers, and so you're depending on Keyonte George, a rookie point guard who's looked fantastic. I mean, tonight, look at this, 7 assists, 0 turnovers, 16 points. I think that's career high tonight. He's only going to get better, but he's still a rookie. He's still figuring things out. Although for a rookie, he is so advanced, it's crazy. So, but you know what? Markkanen's relying on guys like Jordan Clarkson and John Collins, and I guess, when Walker Kessler comes back, he's going to play. That's rough. I mean, honestly, who's getting him the ball? If they're just kind of protecting, defenses are just going to load up on him when Jordan Clarkson's in the game. That's what's one of the problems, is defenses know the Jazz want to get it to Lauri Markkanen. And so it's really dependent on Jordan Clarkson and Keyonte George to find ways to get him the ball within the offense, which is hard. So what it usually means is these guys need to take more shots. And if Jordan Clarkson's shooting 32% from 3, other teams are like, you know what? We're good with that. And so far this year, the Jazz are 4-11, and that's worked. So if you're going to change maybe Ochai Agbaji, but what else are you playing? That leaves you Colin Sexton, Taylor Horton-Tucker, Chris Dunn for the bench. I guess I would play Chris Dunn more because he at least defends, positive defender, but he hasn't shown the ability to score the ball. He just hasn't. It's been pretty bad. And so, but That said, I do like that he can handle the ball. He is a willing passer, and he does play hard on defense. So I would play Chris Dunn. Colin Sexton, JC, Taylor Horton Tucker, that trio has been so bad this year. They have been really bad. And so they know how to defend too. I actually think of those three, I'd probably prefer Taylor Horton Tucker play because he's at least long and he does seem like he does try on defense. But, 1 for 4 tonight, 0 for 2 from 3, minus 15. Ugh! 3 turnovers in 14 minutes. It's bad. It's really bad, guys. And so I don't know what you want. For the people who talk about Will Hardy, it's like, what else do you need to say? Like, if they don't get it, if they're not a super high IQ player that can just figure things out, I don't know what to tell you. At a certain point, I mean, Taylor Horton Tucker's been in the league like 5-6 years. I know he's been like 18 years old for 10 years, but like he's got to like at some point kind of know what to do and do it. And these players are old enough and they've been in the game so long, they should be able to pick these things up. And they're, if they can't, then you got to move on. So I also think it's time to bring up Taylor Hendricks and Bryce Sensabaugh, because at this point you're losing by how much to the Blazers, who had a worse record than you? Not anymore. But you're losing like this to the Blazers, and it was worse than that score. What do you have to lose? Bring up Taylor Hendricks. He's at least got the physical gifts. He's at least able and will. I mean, he's willing and he'll become able as he learns. Does that make sense? He's not quite able yet because he's a rookie and he's like pretty raw, but he is willing and he's got the physical ability to be able, and I think you've got to bring him out. He's a weak side shot blocker. I mean, I honestly really want to see Taylor Hendricks play next to Walker Kessler and Lauri Markkanen and play Keontae George with Ochai Agbaji and then have Bryce Sensabaugh come off the bench. And everyone else off with their heads. Right? Just go. Let's trade you to Timbuktu for McChicken and a French fry. A $3 meal deal at McDonald's. I'll take it. Right? Let me know in the comments. What meal deal would you take? I'll take Arby's beef and cheddar, baby. Get me a beef and cheddar, and you can have Colin Sexton and his, whatever it is he brings, which I guess is efficiency at some points. But man, and by the way, the people who are sending me DMs, certain people that work with certain players sending me DMs like, "What are you saying?" Well, guess what? I turned out to be right. So now I don't get a lot of angry DMs anymore. So bye. See you next year. But anyways, not much else to say on this one. This was a bad loss, and I thought I was going to be short, and it went 32 minutes. So that's how this show goes. That's how we go on the Hoops Nerd channel. All right. Make sure, guys, let's see. Let's give a shout out to our All-Stars tonight. It's Thanksgiving, guys. You know what I'm thankful for? You. The people who have subscribed, the members, especially the members. All of you who have joined the channel, I am so thankful for you on this Thanksgiving. I am thankful for the All-Stars, the rookies, the starters, especially the All-Stars. Thank you for your generosity. I am so thankful for you. And let's see. Let's give a speaking of All-Stars. Oh, and by the way, before we do that, we also need to do our tankathon of the night. Let's see. Is the music playing? Yes. All right. Look at that. Utah Jazz, number 5. I would love to be there last year, but we decided to hold on to Mike Conley for a while. So, and by the way, that's the other thing. Anyone who says we should have kept Mike Conley, I'm telling you, that's not what you want. You should have traded him sooner. Especially with Keontae George, you want to give him development minutes because Mike Conley's not going to be around forever. And so they should have traded him sooner. But it is what it is. I think Taylor Hendricks can be really good. All right, let's see. 5th odds. Let's see what we get. Oh no, we got skunked again. Charlotte jumps ahead of us. Son of a gun. That's second night in a row. Anyways, that gets us Justin Edwards from Kentucky, 6'7". I was looking at his film a little bit. Big guy, can shoot the ball a little bit. Stephon Castle is something a lot of people have mentioned. How 6'6"? He's someone I'm going to look at. I don't know. I really like Collier, and I like Sarr. Just my first impressions of guys. Matas Buzelis has not been super impressive so far, but maybe he'll be better. I don't know. Tony Jones mentioned Jacoby Walter from Baylor. What if we had a double Baylor backcourt? The Baylor backcourt. That'd be kind of fun. We'll see. But anyways, that's what we get. Justin Edwards tonight. Hope you're happy. All right, let's give a shout out to the All-Stars. Jesse James Nelson. Wait, no. I got to get right. This might be the longest nickname of all of them. The Outlaw Jesse James Nelson. Joshua Hansen, Danish Destroyer. Ryan Perry, the legend. Ezekiel Raisibe, the man from down under. Yes, Jake C. Can. Christian House Money to Haas. See ya, Lexa later. Bill Ford Tough, Alexander Tufts. Jorge Arrizagami, Amigo de Bajo. Jordan the GOAT Best Roll. TGD Total Game Domination. Tyson Price, The Price is Right. Austin R. Grant, Editor Extraordinaire. DW, the CB Darren Williams, to Carlos Bruiser. Patrick Kubo, the Connoisseur. And Robert Hall of Fame. Guys, Diego, I'm thankful for you. You're thankful for the Hoopster channel. I'm thankful for you, every single one of you. And guess what? The Jazz are bad right now, but I am super grateful for the Utah Jazz to have a team we can all love and root for, and is actually very promising. This is the beginning of the rebuild, guys. This is the beginning. It's starting now. But there have been worse starts than having Keontae George, Lauri Markkanen, Walker Kessler, Ochai Agbaji, Taylor Hendricks, Bryce Sensabaugh. Those are 6 pieces that you can build off of, and hopefully they all develop into everything we hope for. But at the very worst, we have the point guard of the future in Keontae George. All right, guys, if you haven't already, like and subscribe. I will talk to you next time.